Hello, fragrance friends. Thanks for joining me for my May Fragrance Award show. During this video, I'll be sharing with you a bunch, not all, but a bunch of the fragrances that I wore during the month of May and categorizing them into some fantasy fragrance award categories to show you how I feel about them. Before I do that, let me pause and just say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched this channel over the past year and plus. We are 17 months into this channel and I really appreciate your subscribership. And if you're not a subscriber, thanks for dropping in to videos from time to time. And for everyone that has left a comment, thank you for your time, your energy, and your fragrance friendship. Before I get started, this was a really tough month. It's getting harder and harder as I go because so many of the fragrances that I have in my collection, I really like a lot or love. And so it becomes tougher and tougher to do these category awards. But in the first category is my favorite blind buys, meaning I did not smell these before I purchased them. And I have two to share with you. There's a bunch that I could put in here, but I narrowed it down to just two. There's Valentino's Donna Aqua. I have a couple of backups of this because I love it so much and I understand that it is discontinued. At the top, you get this absolutely heavenly opening of pear and almond that is just to die for. Like it sends me when this is first sprayed on, and it's like a roll my eyes in the back of my head kind of a fragrance. As it settles down, you get a lot of yellow florals and white florals in the middle. I think it's frangipani in here and a white floral, maybe jasmine. Regardless, it's a beautiful, soft floral that still has a little bit of that lingering almond in it and a little bit of the pear still, but that opening blast is what makes this so beautiful and so divine to wear. Another favorite blind buy is TriBeCa from Bond Number 9. This one here could have gone into many of the categories that you'll hear about today. I just love this really awesome croco embossed white bottle. All of the Bond Number 9s are in this star shape, and I have this thing for the bottles from Bond Number 9. But this is a gourmand heaven to me with a little bit of floral. It's chocolatey, it's nutty, it's a hazelnut thing happening in here. There's some caramel, there's jasmine, there's something so warm and cozy and enveloping about this that, oof, listen. This fragrance is, for me, amazing. I had to wait to find it on sale because the prices can be nutty, no pun intended with the nutty accord, but nutty on this fragrance. So I got it more than half off and I would buy it over and over and over again. This is like my gourmand dream here. The category of favorite bottle is one that people probably would not expect to see in this category, especially with some of the other stunning bottles that are in my May lineup. But those other bottles really needed to be in other categories. And I do like this bottle. I'm drawn to it. It's Givenchy's Pie. Yes, it looks simplistic and maybe not the most glamorous bottle, but there's something about the proportions of this little piece up here that twists and the shape of the bottle, the symbol of pie, and then whatever you call this like pebbled effect back here, that just is attractive to me. This is marketed toward men. It's mostly aromatic to me. I get out of here like a kitchen spicy kind of a thing. Rosemary, I think thyme, and some other types of herbs like that you'd find, savory herbs that you'd find in a kitchen, maybe even something like a lavender accord. I don't think there's lavender in here, but something like that. It's soft, it's aromatic, and it's great for fall, but also great for the early spring here. And I find this to be a light fragrance. It's an eau de toilette concentration, which is why I chose to wear it in early May. And I like the bottle. There's something about the bottle that calls to me. I will also say about this, in addition to having those aromatic notes, there are some gourmand kinds of notes in the base like tonka bean and vanilla that give this a really smooth base that I enjoy on my skin. Soft, but really a nice fragrance. In the category of worst bottle, I actually have two, and I'm very angry at both of these bottles because the fragrances are really so nice. They deserve better bottles. You've heard me moan and groan about this bottle a lot over the past year, and it's Armaf's Eternia Woman. This has to be one of the gaudiest bottles with fake plastic on it, faux pebbles leather, and then faux marble back here. I mean, listen to that. Opens like a cigarette lighter. I've talked about this, I won't go on and on, but the fragrance is spectacular in here. This is considered to be a dupe for Dior's Poison Girl. It has some citrus and it has some florals and then this almond vanilla beautifulness to it. I love putting this on, probably one of the girliest, prettiest, fluffiest fragrances in my collection. In fact, you'll see this in an upcoming fluffy fragrances kind of video. Absolutely gorgeous, an affordable gem in the neighborhood of $30. But bottle is a hot, hot mess. Another fragrance that I haven't talked about I don't think, well, maybe I talked about it in a video last summer, but not since then. I'm really angry at this bottle too because the fragrance is so lovely in here, but the bottle's just embarrassing to show. It's from Helene Fischer and it's called That's Me. I don't know what's happening here, but this looks like an unfinished art project, some kind of like something that someone was trying to carve out of some kind of glass granite and they stopped halfway and just gave up. The fragrance is lovely. You get some citrus and a really sort of soft, flat coconut in here and a lotus note, along with some vanilla and musk in the base. It's super affordable. I think you can find this for under $20, folks. I would strongly advise you, if you are into or looking for an affordable fragrance, to think about That's Me. I have thought about decanting this into another bottle that would look prettier because the fragrance is worth it, but the bottle is, yikes. In the category of sexiest fragrance, I hope I am pronouncing this right because this bottle deserves to be pronounced correctly. Oui from La Vie Belle. First of all, the bottle, gorgeous. This is the regular La Vie Belle bottle, but it has this splash here that just makes it so pretty. I was traveling in an elevator with a woman. We're going down the elevator shaft and I'm watching the numbers go down and think, I only have like 3 more floors to ask her what she's wearing. She was wearing this, the new Lancome, she called it, but she couldn't recall the name. And I knew that it was probably this one. I blind purchased this too, so this could be a favorite blind buy. This has iris, this has rose, this has jasmine, and I think there's something fruity and like berry-like at the top of this. A deep, mature, grown-up, beautiful, womanly, like absolutely womanly smell. This is not like your little juicy couture kind of scent. This is grown woman. I've got it together. I've got my heels on and my figure hugging dress and I want to knock them dead. This is that fragrance that you want to put on for that. Gorgeous. It's my scent of the day today. And I sprayed myself at least 486 times and probably will spray myself at least a dozen more before the evening's over. Gorgeous. Before we get off of this fragrance, let me also say that it's kind of like a gourmand floral version of the original La Vie Belle. There is something patchouli-like and woody in the base of this, but in the top and in the mid, it is this beautiful, just absolutely sexy, alluring, Jessica Rabbit, va-va-voom kind of fragrance. For the category of everyday fragrance, it is probably the one fragrance that I would point to as my absolute signature scent for a while now, probably for the past 10 years or more, and it's still from Jennifer Lopez. You're probably wondering what this is. This is not the Still bottle, but this is a bottle that I purchased off of Amazon. And the reason that the Still fragrance is sitting in here is because the bottle of Still that I was going through was a full 3.4 ounce. It was down to like maybe the last ounce or less maybe. And I feel like it had oxidized and maybe, I think the word is denatured or something like that, where it just felt a little bit off when I sprayed it the last time. So I had to retire that bottle and then pull one out from the stash. I've got like 3 backups of Still at this point, maybe 4 because I love this fragrance so much. But the backup that I pulled out, the nozzle was cranked on it. It was like cranked to the side and wasn't really spraying the way I needed it to. So I decanted it into this beautiful bottle here. Still is this gorgeous citrusy, white floral tea fragrance. There's an herbal tea note that is pretty prominent in the fragrance at the top and in the dry down, but it's a happy, uplifting, bright, light, simple fragrance. Nothing complicated about it. Great for the office, great for every day, but also transitions well into night because there's something just so like simplistically pretty, clean, and fresh about Still that I can't get enough of. And the category of best gift is Jimmy Choo's I Want Choo. This is a fragrance that is very sexy as well. It could go in that category. This is like a man killer kind of a fragrance. Why is that? It's everything all at once. It has a little bit of citrus. It's a vanilla fragrance. It's also fruity. It's also white floral. It's all of those together. To me, this opens kind of like a berry-like fragrance, fruity, although I don't see any fruits listed in the note structure. I do see peach. And then there's also like something citrusy. I think it's an orange note, and white florals in the middle, and then vanilla in the base, which can make for a really sexy fragrance. Really pretty fragrance. Again, a highly feminine one, and one that, although it seems like it would be polarizing, this seems to have mass appeal here on YouTube. And I haven't met anyone that said they did not like this fragrance, or at least enjoy it in some way, even if it wasn't like a heavy like or a heavy love for them. So I think this would make a really nice gift for someone. And I love the bottle. I love the JC on there, and then the gold top. In the category of best for the season, and if I had a category called longest lasting and highest projecting or most projecting, this would win both of those two. It's Haramain's Amber Oud, the gold edition. I have 3 from this line, and they are all absolute bangers of fragrance. I have the gold edition, which people say is a dupe for Herba Pura from Xerjoff. I have the tobacco one that's supposed to be a dupe for Tobacco Vanille from Tom Ford. And I also have Amber Oud Rouge, which is a dupe for the extrait version of BR 540. And they are all, in my opinion, better than the originals. More beast mode, more projecting, more long lasting, everything. These are gorgeous, and I love these heavy, really nicely designed bottles. So what do you have in here? You have a very fruity, musky fragrance that is a powerhouse of a fragrance. I just love this. It's great for the spring. It's great all year round, but for the spring here, as you're wanting to feel fresh and light and just pretty and gorgeous and fruity, it has all of that. There's melon notes in here. There's even like an ozonic accord in here, but a lot of musk, heavy musk and heavy fruit for the most part. Love this. In the category of best fragrance for special occasion is one that I blind purchased and wasn't sure I was going to love. And like I have been preaching and will preach again, you've got to wear the fragrance, and you've got to commit to like at least a half day wear before you can really judge a fragrance. And boy, am I glad that I gave this one a full chance in May. I felt like I had my entire life together when I was wearing this. Image was a popped up collar. I had a fancy handbag. I don't do fancy handbags, but in my mind that day I was carrying one. I had my most sophisticated little kitten heels on. My hair was perfectly coiffed. None of this was true, okay? I was wearing like leggings and a t-shirt, but in my mind, I felt like that because of this fragrance. And it is Elie Saab's Cuir Ylang. Not for everyone. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that I have some pretty wide-ranging tastes in fragrances, and maybe even like a thing for some bizarre fragrances. This definitely falls into the bizarre fragrance category. However, there is something so elevated, sophisticated, and dare I use the word refined about this. Not for the faint of heart, not for the wallflower, not for the person that doesn't want to stand out because of their fragrance. This will get you stood out. Leather and Ylang. There's some other woody notes in here, and maybe something a little bit resinous. I don't even know how to describe this. Perhaps a little bit of powderiness in there as well. This is the kind of fragrance that I don't know how to describe. The best that I can do for you is that it is funky in all of the most amazing ways. Like you put this on, and maybe I shouldn't have said kitten heels, because kitten heels and like coiffed hair make you think of someone proper with pearls on. This is someone more like, I got it. This is the image that comes to mind. Have you watched the movie Avatar? Have you watched the scene where there's the huge celebration under that big like tree of life thing, and the whole place becomes electric and becomes alive, and they're dancing and they're swaying and they're like with the harmony and energy of the universe? This is something like that for me. There's something really earthy and maybe even animalic. Not maybe, there is something very animal-ish, animalic about this. The Ylang comes through, but it's more heavy on like the leather woodiness of it than it is on the Ylang. The Ylang like helps to balance it and give it some hint of femininity so that it isn't too masculine on me. One of the most glorious fragrances that I have tried. In fact, will this go in my masterpiece video? I'm not sure. Let's wait and see. I go next to the category of biggest surprise, and boy, was this a surprise. It is Bulgari from Robert Piguet. Why is this a surprise? Based on what the bottle looks like. And honestly, I didn't look at the notes. I just put it into the cart because of the label. I don't know. I just thought this was going to be a really fall incensey, spicy, ambery kind of a fragrance, and it's anything but that. It's actually in the opposite direction. I called this my, like if Chanel number 5 was remade, like if it was a house that got a makeover, it would be this. This is heavily aldehydic, which is like your soapy, clean kinds of notes, but you also get citrus and florals in here. So it's like a brighter, more updated version of Chanel number 5, which I still like. But I did like an Instagram post that said something like, you know, move over Chanel number 5, but not too far, because I still like that one too. But a really bright, delightful fragrance that could easily have been best for the season too. I love the soapiness combined with the hints of citrus and with the floral to balance all of it out. Just a bright, happy, sophisticated fragrance. Yeah, really nice. In the category of not safe blind buy, but one that I definitely enjoy and plan to keep in my collection. It's newer and it is called Green Rain. And I think the perfumer's name is Enrico G or G or Guy. Something like that. 30 something dollars on FragranceNet. Actually, maybe less. Maybe it was the $20 or something range. This should have been in my green fragrances video. I can't believe I forgot to include this, but that's what happens when you have a really large collection. You forget things. Smells exactly like cut grass. You get citrus in here as well. There is pine, there's cut leaves, there's a tomato leaf note. Very green, a little bit powdery, and all kinds of fun and bizarre. It's like if Chanel number 19 was more grassy with a slight hint of powder. Not the longest lasting. I've got maybe like a half a day out of this and then I had to re-up, but a really interesting, affordable fragrance. Not a safe blind buy because it is weird and bizarre because of the greenness of it. So it's time for the top 3, then we'll go middle 3 or meh 3, and then bottom 3. Are you ready? Let's start with one that my husband just adores. Is it the most fantastic fragrance? Maybe not. But there's something about the fact that he loves it and it drives him crazy and it makes me feel really feminine when I wear it, like romantically feminine. That puts this in the top 3. It is Florence from Tocca. I have the hairspray for this as well. So you better believe that I douse my body in this and my hair in the hairspray. Sometimes I wear the hairspray on my body and this in my hair. The bottle is gorgeous. Love the top on it. This is such a romantic white floral fragrance. Has some of my favorite notes: tuberose, gardenia, jasmine, just a white floral bomb, soft, maybe a little bit musky. Yeah, slight woodiness in there. Love this. There are other fragrances that smell like this on the market, like Michael, like the tuberose one from Kim Kardashian, and others of that nature. Central Park West from, is it Central Park West? Yes, from Bond number 9. But this one in particular is special to my husband and me. Then a fragrance that's polarizing. People either hate it or love it. I love it, and it has a special place in my heart because when I first smelled it, I was with a friend of mine. We were shopping. It was beyond my price range really at that point, or that I felt comfortable spending, but I got it half off at the cosmetics company store, and when I first smelled it, I just went bananas over it. Or maybe I should say I went cherries over it. Tom Ford Lost Cherry. Look, if you're not into the price tag here, that's perfectly fine. There's lots of affordable, wonderful dupes. Dossier makes a great dupe of this, and I believe that Ocha does too. Certainly Alexandria Fragrances has a fabulous one, and maybe some others, but I love this original bottle. It just has special meaning for me. This is a beautiful sweet cherry. Some people think it's sour. I think it's sweet. And then there's almond and liquor in here. I mean, what a dream, right? I think this is gorgeous, and I think it will forever be in my collection. You know, will I repurchase this when it's done? Probably, probably. Maybe not this size, but I'll definitely always have this. Then another really delightful fragrance that I adore when I put it on. It's from Trussardi, and it's called, and I have to look at the label because it's a long name, Passegiata in Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II. This is a delicious pastry and coffee shop kind of smell. There's coffee, there's hazelnut, there's cinnamon, there's a coconut note in here, there's vanilla in the base, and it all just combines to form like this really lightly creamy coffee shop pastry in the air deliciousness. Like right when you walk into that shop and the smell hits you, that gourmand smell, it's not like overpowering, but it's just comforting and it's pleasant. And when I put this on, I feel like I'm inside of a cocoon, a hug. Yeah, just a great cup of coffee with a hint of coconut and a lot of hazelnut, a splash of cinnamon, and just this creamy beautifulness. In my meh category, meh middle, are 3 fragrances that I would definitely still recommend to people if they were looking for this profile type. But for me, there was something about each one of these that puts it just in the middle category. I'm not in any rush to get rid of these. I don't think they will be going. But the first one is from Nobile 1942, and it's Sandalo Nobile. Sandalwood fragrance. It has iris. It has a little hint of powder. I find this to be a really nice sandalwood fragrance. It's light in texture, not a heavy one, fairly linear, and there's something really sophisticated about the iris note in here. The reason that it's in the middle category is, one, it's light to my nose, although others felt like it projected off of me, but I felt like it was light on me. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but the bad thing about it was that no one in this house liked it. I wore it and they were all like, what are you wearing? It's smelly. So here's the weird thing, that I went to a doctor's office the day that I had this on, and I put this on because it's light. And the receptionist and others remarked how good I smell. So I don't know, it's just because they smelled something and wanted to comment on it, but the men in this house, sons and husband in particular, were not crazy about this. So it's in the meh category. Second is a fragrance that I love the smell of, but I have to use a lot of it to have any impact, and that's Bronze Goddess. This is the Eau Fraiche version, the skin scent. The fact that it's a skin scent is the issue for me here. As you can see, I'm making quite a dent through this, and I think I'll go through this quickly this summer. It's a great smell. It smells like sunblock to me, a really nice Hawaiian tropic kind of a smell, but I have to literally douse myself in this for it to sort of show up for me during the day, and that's just irritating. I do have the gold bottle version of this, the 2017 version, that I adore, and is a different kind of a fragrance that I would probably prefer to this, but this is one that I would throw in my bag going to the pool or the beach this summer without any issues, and just kind of literally spraying myself down with this. And then the third fragrance in the meh category is L'Aventure Femme from Al Haramain. This is a dupe for Creed Aventus for her, and it is a spot-on dupe. The only reason that it's in the meh category is this is a beast mode fragrance. You spray this on and it stays on all day long, all night into the next day, forever and ever, forevermore. Okay, forever and ever. This is a forever ever fragrance. And I am not always in the mood for Creed Aventus for her. Sometimes I like that like clean, people talk about it being a pineapple smell. To me, it comes across like a metallic woody smell, which I'm sometimes in the mood for, but I don't know that I want 24 hours of it. So that's all. This is a great performing fragrance. I will keep it, but you got to be in the mood for this. It's not like the most versatile scent in the world. In the category of bottom 3 for one way or another, the chopping block fragrances, the first one I had in my citrus video, and I wore it and then realized I do like this and I would still advise it for someone that wants to get it. It's a nice fragrance. It's exactly as it sounds, Orange Bitters from Jo Malone. My only problem with this is that it was super duper light on me. It had substance when you first put it on, but then after like the first 30 minutes, it was a pretty fleeting fragrance, and that's totally okay. It's a nice fragrance. I've had my time with it, and it was time for it to go to a new home. However, I have no problems with it other than it was light. It's a really nice, very light orangey fragrance that I would still support others purchasing if they were interested in it. And then I really hate the bottle of the next one, and maybe it should have gone in the worst bottle category, but it is Futura La Femme from Armaf. This is supposed to be an eau de parfum concentration. I think this bottle is a hot mess, and not in a cute way. Some hot messes I like. This is just like a design fail for me. It's super duper heavy, and it has these bottles from Armaf have these little gems in them, which I just find really gaudy and obnoxious. I do, it's the truth. This fragrance is said to be a dupe for Delina, and I just don't get that. I do get some floral out of here, some citrus. It's very light and fresh, but it's too light for me, too light in texture. People could smell it on me. It did project. I don't know that it lasted because I really didn't pay attention. There was just something so like thin about the consistency of this, something so light and like airy about it in a way that I didn't like for this kind of profile. So this one is going to go to a new home. I can't even sell this because it weighs too much to make sense to ship it, and it's not worth much. So I'll probably just give this away to someone. And for longevity reasons, I'm sad to include this next fragrance on the chopping block, but it's Chanel Chance Au Tendre. This has quince in it, which is a lovely note. I really do enjoy that. It's a floral, fruity fragrance that comes on really beautiful. When I first spray it on, I'm like, yes, this is awesome. And I do like the smell of it. It doesn't stick around long enough for me to really enjoy it. It's kind of fleeting. And then I also know a few other people who wear this as like a signature scent. So my mind thinks of them when I spray this on. And that's not always a bad thing. But in this case, I just, you know, it's got to go. So I might wear this one last time just for good measure and just to have one more moment with it before we lay this baby to rest. But yeah. So that's the May Awards. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, my friends.